Hello everyone and welcome back to another car profile where we're looking at the Mitsubishi Evolution final Group 3 car. Now if you do enjoy these videos, of course do give it a like, do subscribe to the channel to stay in touch with each and every car profile, which you can also check the full playlist in the description. Straight to the bop then for this car, low speed 543, 1,315 kilos. It changes by getting 6 more horsepower in the medium speed, and in the high speed it loses a bit of weight, so you know it continues to improve as you go forward, which suggests it should be a handling car, but we'll see how that goes, because we tried to beat the meta attempt at Monza, and what we found at Monza is that it has huge acceleration, so that's one of its key strengths. Now I've done the car profile twice for this because I did it before the patch and then they upgraded it, or buffed it should I say, and so I've had to do one since the patch. So you're going to get 2 sets of results. You're only going to witness the one test though, which is obviously the new bop, and I will talk about the car as we go into it. Without further ado then, with this engine, it's an Evo Gr.3 car, I normally say that, and it's front engine, rear wheel drive and 6 gears. Let's jump into Laguna Seca then, which is the low speed bop test here in the Mitsubishi Lancer as we go into turn 1. Now, one thing I found with this car is it seems to struggle in low-speed corners. Now, when I did a bit of research into this car, it's had lots of aero parts added, so obviously that's where it benefits. In the low-speed corners, aero doesn't really play a factor, and I find it quite clunky. We go through sets 1 then. We're racing that Audi R8 LMS Evo down the bottom right-hand side, and we are just under a 10th down on that car as we head up towards this left-hander. Now, before the patch, this car was really bad in this corner, really bad. It felt so heavy, and it has had a massive weight reduction. I think it's like 15 kilograms, maybe even a bit more than that. And as we come up to the kink, same here. It could handle the kink well. It just felt heavy as you went through it. This time it feels a bit lighter, it feels a bit more nimble, and actually it's been a big improvement in terms of the feel and enjoyment I got from the car. When I did the first test, I hated doing this bop test, I really did, it just felt horrible. Going through the corkscrew then, not a problem there. We're now an additional 10th down then as we go through the left-hander here. And with that weight reduction, it's just made the car a bit more enjoyable. You know, it has. And I actually enjoyed doing this second car profile test when I started driving. It's like, oh, actually, it feels quite good to drive. Coming into the last corner then, very slow corner, very hard to just get round there and kick out of the corner then as we head towards the line. We are racing at Audi R8 in terms of faster slaps. What are we going to get here then? We are 3.5 tenths down, 121.541 there. But remember, we look at Optimum times. We are looking at Optimums. Let's see what's actually happened in terms of Optimums and where it sits on the leaderboard. You're going to notice a big change here. I've put version 1.43 there. That's not all of these that I've changed. Like the Porsche 911 has only had a low speed change, the medium and high speed, but you'll still see version 1.43 on it. That's just until I've actually done the full update. Now the new car is P13 or 121.440, so it's very much up there, very much in that mid-pack, top end of that mid-pack there, the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo. And you can see where the old version was. 3 tenths down. 3 tenths. It was horrendous, and you can see where it sits. So, yeah, that's a really good improvement there for the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. Really good bop change there. I would say that was... I mean, when I originally did the test, I was going to say it needs a buff, this car. They've buffed it, and they've put it... You know, not a meta car, but it's very much up there. So it can fight in the mid-pack quite well on a low-speed track. I do feel like a 5 kilogram weight reduction again on that on the low speed might work out, maybe, but hey, it might get too powerful then. Mid-speed then here at Suzuka, turn number 1. Once again, that just loss of weight there has helped it massively because it just felt like a chunky boy going around corners, if I'm honest with you. It just felt horrible. Now going through the S's here then, trying to get through here. We're racing that Porsche 911 RSR. That hasn't been updated in the medium and high speed. It was only the low speed. But again, as I will say in the tables, it will say version 1.43. Once I've updated the low speed of the Porsche, it will then automatically just get rid of that version 1.43. We're 3 tenths down on the Porsche 911, which is to be expected. That's more of a handling car, and the first part of Suzuka is more of a handling section. Coming into here, though, before the patch, it was a bit awkward, to be honest with you. It was, as again, the heaviness just meant it understeered a bit more. Now it's absolutely fine through Tidgney 1 and Tidgney 2, actually. It's really nice feeling. We are 4 tenths down now on the Porsche 911. But that takes time of 20.4 there. That's around about right, to be honest with you, with a lot of cars. Now, we leave the hairpin. The hairpin is a big talking point. Before the patch, it could not do the hairpin to save its life. Just the weight, it just understeered. It was not nice. Felt much better this time doing it. That weight reduction has just meant the handling has improved massively in this car. So it's actually a feasible car to use now in certain races, in my opinion. Going through Spoon then, just struggling to really get the car going. I did understeer off a couple of times there as well. You notice lap number 6, 2 minutes 7 there. I'm pretty sure that was the Spoon understeer as we continue towards the end of Sector 3 then. What is that sector time going to be? Oh, 43.8. Now, I can tell you, I got nowhere near that. before the patch, so that is good to see. Not too fast in 130R though, 144 there, so it still does struggle a little bit in handling, but we'll see what happens at the end of this lap then as we go through the Casio triangle. We're going to head towards the line then. A little bit of power oversteer can be expected in this car. Do bear that in mind as we head towards the line then. It's at 159.6 there. Half a second down on that Porsche 911. Not too bad though, to be honest with you. I will say that much, and we'll see where it fits on the leaderboard. Remember, optimum times is what we're looking at here. Let's have a look at this leaderboard, and not in the top 10 there. Then again, the Porsche 911 hasn't been changed in the medium speed, so even though it says version 1.43, it's fine. That time is valid. It can stay there. That makes sense. So that actually made the top 20 then. This car still does struggle here at Suzuka. I'm not sure what the medium speed track actually is that they do the bot test, but it definitely is struggling here at Suzuka. P23 then, 59.438. So just off the top end in the mid pack, I would say the 59 2s and 3s are where it should be. As we go, look at where the old version was. Down near the bottom, 59.8. In fact, it didn't even get into the 59s on the fastest lap. That's how bad that car was. So that has been a very positive buff here, but potentially maybe needs a little bit more. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one then. Let's jump to the high-speed bot test then. This is at Bathurst for those that are new to this video series as we go into turn number 1. Now, this car, we know it's got good acceleration from the Beat the Meta video we did in this car. So I fully expected when I first started this test, even before the patch, for it to be strong here in Sector 1. And it was. And we're about to see how strong it is in Sector 2 because it's about to jump ahead of the Suzuki Gran Turismo car. That pull that this car has got is insane, which is probably why they struggled to bot this a little bit, to be honest with you. Because you reduce the weight a little bit more, that pull's going to be even stronger. So it's kind of an interesting dilemma that they have. And in towards this left-hander, once again, the reduction in weight has helped it massively because it just understeered for days on the old version. This new version, absolutely fantastic as we head up the mountain then. And this is where this car does come into its strength a little bit here. It can handle the mountain very well indeed. That pull just being so strong. Going into this left-hander, slight lift there. A bit longer than normal, but still, it made it work. Over the crest of the hill we go. No real dramas there with weight transfer, which is always nice to see. And we're going to start heading down the mountain now. We are, just under the Suzuki Gran Turismo car. So equaling very nicely here as we go down here. Chuck it left through the dipper we go. No real problems. Occasionally, it would suffer some power oversteer on exit just because the rear had already stepped out. Keep that in mind if you are using this car. If the rear does step out, you really have to control that power before you put the foot down because you'll just get a whole load of oversteer and have problems. I tried third and second gear out Forest Elbow, the corner we've just come out of. It just varied, to be honest with you. It depended how much rear rotation I got. And then when I put the power down, whether it wanted to oversteer or not. So it didn't really matter over second or third gear, to be honest with you. We are 5 thousandths down. My word, this is a close run versus that Suzuki Gran Turismo car as we head in towards the chase then. So in we go here, trying to get the car turned. A little bit of understeer there through the corner. That's where we get into that low-speed corner area where this car does struggle then to get round corners. It really does struggle in that regard. And we've got the final corner here again. Really have to be patient on the throttle to really get going. Short shift there just to avoid power oversteer. We're going to head towards the line. Is this going to be a new fastest lap here? No, it's not. It's 3 attempts down. Lost there. We did see a bit of understeer in the chase, didn't we? And the left-hander there. And we did see some more understeer on the last corner as well. So that is where it is in terms of fastest laps. But where does it fit in the optimum times? Does it make it into the top 10? It does not. The Suzuki Gran Turismo, technically the lead car there in terms of the optimums at the moment. Oh no, the Porsche 911 would be actually, because that's not been updated. Right, P12 then for the new car, P18 for the old car. You can see there not much difference there in the high speed, which is interesting to see because it did have a big weight reduction, but it also had a power increase from memory in terms of the high speed, so it did get improved there, but it wasn't a big jump. And the reason for that, it is all the higher speed corners. It didn't really benefit from it. And that shows you how weight really has an impact in terms of lower medium speed. It was a big jump there, not as big jump in the high speed. So an interesting increase there, definitely towards the top end of the pack though, being near that top 10 in terms of the high speed. So looks like a good bop here for the high speed for that Mitsubishi Lancer. Going to go into the fuel test now. Again, I know people have heard this 1,000 times, but for the new people to this video series, top left, automatic fuel map 1, so the game does gear changing for us. Bottom left, fuel map 3, just shows you how fuel map works. And if you use automatic, the only way you fuel save. Top right, harsh shift, the better way to fuel save. We're going to see the performance there. And then bottom right, the emergency fuel saving, combining everything to try and save the maximum amount of fuel. Now, we are looking at performance here at the 2,000 meter line there, and we get top left first there, so it does show you do rev this car. I know some people have questioned that at Monza, but trust me, you do rev this car, and we can see there it has finished in quite a fast time, actually, nearly into the 24s there. Top right is next to finish there, 25.350. That's a half shift, and you can see there 6% fuel saved in that regard. Bottom left looks like it's about to finish next as we get there. So 65% fuel saved. So we did save, actually, with the Fuel Map 3. That's unusual to see. Obviously, it lost some performance, but it did save more fuel than normal, which is, again, I say, is interesting to see. And bottom right then, half shift plus Fuel Map 3 then crosses the line. Not under the 26-second margin, which is what we're after, really, but does finish on 70% fuel. Right, we're going to put that all into leaderboards now. I'll try and explain these tests a little bit more for you as well if you are new. So maximum RPM just shows you the performance at this current time. Did make it into the top 10. It shows you that car does pull. And we said that earlier on. It pulls like crazy. It makes it into the top 10 in terms of performance. So in that regard, it should be a good fuel saver, to be honest with you, because it's got the performance initially. But we'll see how we go. P15 for the old version there, so it did gain a temp from the change. Yes, it's a high-speed bop test, and the medium and low would be different, but we're just testing the fuel-saving capabilities of the car in general, which does not vary across the bops that much. So just keep that in mind when we do these tests. Now, obviously, we did the first test, as I bite my tongue there, because apparently you need to know that and wonder why my voice changed. Right, yes, the first of the tests, and let's jump into that table now. The half shift, okay. So it's actually dropped out of the top 10. So that half shift not working out well in terms of performance. It has dropped out of that top 10. The question is, how far out of the top 10? I've tried to make this text more readable as well for you. As we see here, 23.350 for that then. I mean, it's dropped down quite significantly, hasn't it? To drop there. It's like mid-pack now in terms of that. So the half shift, it's not the greatest. It does save around about the same fuel as everything else in its area. So it can be used. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it does drop down in performance versus other cars. Right, the next test. I can't even remember what order these tests are in, so I am commentating this on the fly, as I always do. One shot takes is what my goal is. Fuel Map 3 and automatic then. So this is where the game changes for you, and it still hits maximum RPM. So, with Fuel Map 1 was P10. Where does it fit here in terms of... okay, P12. So, here's what I would say, folks. If you are an automatic driver and you are in a fuel race, this car looks absolutely substantial. That's amazing performance with amazing fuel save there. 65%. This car, in terms of an automatic driver, Fuel Map 3, this is the car for you if you're an automatic driver in a fuel-saving race. I'll say that again. Automatic driver, fuel-saving race. The Evo looks like it's the car for you in terms of fuel saving. We'll see what it's like in everything else, of course, and the overall summary. We go to the emergency fuel saving. So this is where, of course, we're using the Fuel Map 3 and we're half shifting. So really trying to save that fuel now. Doesn't get into the 25-second margin. We know that. P17 saves a decent amount of fuel. Pretty good performance there, to be honest with you. But it is a couple of attempts off the very best there. So I would say if you are actually a manual user, this isn't the car for you. There we can see it's P23 in its old form. But, you know, this car's all right in fuel-saving races. I'm going to say that much from those results. It's all right. Could be better if you are a manual user. But in terms of automatic, I think we found a winner there. That's pretty damn good going, if I'm honest with you. Right, okay, that's it for the fuel test. Then what we are going to do now is jump to the tyre test. Yes, okay, so we're at Sardinia Sea reverse. This means that we go round and round and round until the first tyre runs out of tyre wear, essentially. Now, we add up all the laps, and that gives us an overall picture of how long the tyre lasts. This does have some impacts because this human interaction. I could overturn the car. I could outbrake myself. Many things can happen. If I crash, I normally redo the test, if you're wondering about that side of it, as we continue on up here. We're on lap number 5, which is this is where normally most cars get to. And as you see here, going through the right-hander, it's still got a bit of tyre wear left there on that front left-hand tyre as we continue on towards the final corner. And we will see the difference between old and new again, as it's just run out here. So we take that 35 seconds, 35.861. We add it to all the other 4 on the right-hand side. That gives us a total time. Some people say measure distance. Some people say measure time. It doesn't really matter. They're both around the same thing anyway. And this just gives you an overall picture because you can see the time. You can't measure distance as easily. So it's not made the top 10 here then in terms of that tyre wear life. That's normally the lap 6 or 6 laps that cars do. So it's not made it there. P17 though. That's not a bad result at all. P17, so it's definitely had some improvement. That weight loss really has helped it a lot. It's improved the handling. It means you don't overturn the car. And we've not seen where the old version is yet. That's the biggest difference here. It is a massive difference from old to new. A big buff in terms of tyre wear, which it did need because it came P32 there. Right near the bottom, around about where the Subaru WRX is. But that's even worse. That's had a change of course as well, which did surprise me as that's an old car. I have asked for feedback on that, and we'll see what happens with that. In the overall top speed test then, so this is taken at Bathurst as we go into the chase. Where does it sit? So as we hit the brakes, what speed were we doing? Now, it's not in the 171 mile an hour, so the 170s is next. We're going to get people going, Tid, you should do kilometers an hour. I race in miles an hour. Most of the viewership is in miles an hour. It's why we use miles an hour. And it's come home in the 170 margin there, so it's just grouped together. It's alphabetical order as well, if you're wondering. There's no other way of doing that once we've got miles an hour. Certainly faster than some of these cars at the bottom. Again, that pull initially, as I say, out of Forest Elbow and on all the other tracks, really does help it out massively. And you can check out the Beat the Meta where we did race at Monza as well. See if we beat it or not if you haven't seen it already, as other people will know the results. So please don't put it in the comments. Right, the summary then. So it's not in the top 10 there. The Renault i01, I would say, is normally the top of the mid-pack. So... Hey, it's near the top of the mid-pack, this Lancer. It's a very good car now. Very good car indeed. I think that BOP upgrade, the buff that it's received, is perfect. Because you can see there, it was in P29. Right near the bottom there. Even below the Hyundai Genesis. That's how bad this car was before. But now after, it's a pretty good car, to be honest with you. A car I highly recommend for automatic drivers, it appears. It seems that for fuel saving, it's really good. So you could get the hang of it, learn how to drive it, really maximize its strengths, and potentially there you could have a really good car to go to for future manufacturer series races. And that's the point of these tests. That's why I do them. Now, in terms of the additional changes that have happened, I do have a big order. I think there's 70 changes. So low, if there's a low, medium, and high speed, that's 3 changes. There's 70 changes I still need to do, so do bear with me with that. If you have enjoyed this video, as you saw on the graphic, do give it a like, do subscribe to the channel to stay in touch with all the latest content, but that is going to be it for me. Now, if you want to check out the Beat the Meta video that I did for this car, check that out on the left. On the right, it's a different car profile, and if I've not done your car test yet, let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure to do that car test in the future. So that counts as a vote once it gets a love heart. I'm a little bit behind, but I will catch up. Big thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in another video live stream again very soon.